Good morning. Good morning. Good
Morning,
morning,
morning.
everyone.
How goes it?
It's a Sunday,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful day for me because it's always a day of rest, of deliberate, intentional rest. If you're Christian, it's the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for our brothers and sisters who follow Islam, it could be Friday, other folks, Jewish folks, Saturday, but for me, it's Sunday. And it's the day that I slow down and really get into the work of connection, reconnection with my sacred self, which connects to our topic for today. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm feeling good. Sorry about my voice. Friday was celebrating the Knicks. Tomorrow the Knicks. It's been a long several months, 43 days since we lost the game. So my voice is taking a hit. So I will
Sharing
try
your joy.
I will try to speak as clearly as possible. So if you hear me cracking like I'm a teenager, my voice cracking, please excuse it. Um, but yeah, today, I'm really excited to talk about how, the journey we've been talking a lot about like fragmentation and healing and repair. And, our journey isn't all about that. There was a lot of creation, making a new path, really thinking about who do we want to be in the world and what world do we want to build. And
Mhm.
I think about Ruha Benjamin. She has so many beautiful quotes. And one of them I like is remember to imagine and craft a world you cannot live without, just as you dismantle the ones you cannot live within.
Mm.
And whenever I read, I have to sit with it because I'm like, okay, what are the worlds I want to imagine? And then what do I want to like dismantle too? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it makes me just think about like, what did we have to learn or unlearn to start rebuilding? And
Mhm.
so, is there any moment for you, Jackie, where you had to unlearn, and what did you have to unlearn in order to start rebuilding and forging a new path and thinking about the world you wanted to be in?
Yeah. I think our conversations up until this point, I've given a lot of very concrete, specific examples of those moments of fragmentation, disconnection, disassociation,
Mm-hmm.
sadness, grief, pain, disappointment. Um, but if I had to summarize what I had to unlearn, um, what I really had to unlearn was forgetting who I really was. Right, I had to unlearn the conditioning. And we all come into this world, right? As little babies, we're in the womb, in the warmth, in the darkness, in the safety of uh, the water, if you will, right? In the mother, in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And in that place, we are connected by our umbilical cord to our source.
Yeah.
And our source isn't just our mother. The source is the divine creative energy and power that even allows for the spark of life to exist, right? The whole idea of creation and birth is a mystery to
Mm-hmm.
us. I mean, scientifically, we can talk about the steps, but really, we're not in control of how that happens, when that happens, if it happens. To a very, very large degree, even people who believe that science can help them are still at the mercy of maybe it won't work with the IVF,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we are not in control of life, of life. But what's so beautiful about being in the womb is that we are connected to our source. All of our needs are met. We are nourished. We are held. We know nothing of this world of of the madness, of the matrix, of any of the things. But yet our little soul wants to be here. It wants to experience this
Mm-hmm.
world. And of course, in miracles, we call it the dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love science fiction. You call it the matrix, like me. Um, but once we come out, once we're born, we believe, we perceive, even as little babies that are unconscious, we feel disconnected from our source. We don't remember that we are love, we are light, that everything we need, we're provided for. And so we go about our life, oftentimes starting scared, right? Once we come
Yeah.
into consciousness around the ages of 2, 3, 4, it's like, oh, is my mother going to be here? Is my parents going to be here? Am I going to get what I need? Am I going to get food, clothes, shelter? And then the conditioning begins. Our
Mhm.
parents, whether or not you had a good or challenging relationship with your parents and or caregivers, because like me, I started kind of in a foster situation.
Yeah.
So my caregiver, and that was a beautiful experience for me. But when we get out into this world, we start to become fearful that all of those needs won't be met. We start to become conditioned by our beloved families, our caregivers, schools, the communities we live in, media, right? Culture, all of that. And so we forget who we are. And I had to unlearn that.
Mhm.
And I had to remember or relearn, rebuild who I am, reconnect
Yeah.
to my source, to my real source, right? And so I was a few nights ago invited to do an intimate fireside chat with a group of women who are walking into the second half of life.
Mhm.
And part of what I share with them there in that space is the case of mistaken identity, right? Like I think the question of the moderator was, what do we need? What's at the root of us feeling stuck in quote middle age when we get into our
Yeah.
40s and 50s and beyond? What's at the root of our pain and suffering? And I gave a longer answer, but the short answer is that um, every faith or wisdom tradition pretty much teaches us that the root cause of our pain and suffering is that we've forgotten who we are. We can't discern between the self the world makes, that we make, the ego identity, the illusion, the dream, and our true sacred divine holy self, our true self. So I would say that has been the gist of my unlearning and the ways that I've gone about doing that to rebuild, right? Which is at the core of what we're talking about. The way that I had to create was to create new narratives, a
Mhm.
new sense, right? And of course, in miracles, when you separate from the ego, from the dream, from your over attachment to this sort of false self or identity, and you embrace your sacred self, your holy self, your divine self, who you really are, when you remember, are willing to remember who you really are, that's called the positive separation, right? The positive separation, because once you separate from the wound, you enter into the negative separation. The
Mhm.
course teaches that we have one problem. As JC says, you think you got 99. No, we don't have 99 problems. We have one, and it's
Mhm.
that you believe you are separate. You believe you're separate from your source, your true source. You believe you're separate from your brothers and sisters, hence the polarization and the conflict. You believe you're separate from the planet, from nature, from the end, right? You're not a steward of life, right? The abundance
Yeah.
that has been given to us that provides of us from us. So when you're seeing from separation, right, in a negative sense, right, then you will feel isolated, you will feel alone, you will feel fragmented. But the way that we repair and rebuild is to reclaim, right? The positive separation. The positive separation is I will not believe in the illusion. I will not give my belief to the matrix, if you will, right? And so there's a process and a practice connected to that I was talking about with these ladies that I call the golden self practice, right? And
Mhm.
there's a 6-step process. We talk about that a little bit later. But for me, the letting go of the false belief um, and remembering who I was really at the core of that transition.
And
And
this was happening during, like when you had your mentorship and just like specific moments, or is this like an overtime that you're now realizing this?
so I talked before in another conversation about two things that really were transformational for me. Um, when one realized, because it really was a realization.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't some intellectual choice like, oh, I need to go and become an ordained minister. It literally was like a download or a drop in through a conversation, through someone guiding me somewhere that I wanted to go to One Spirit, which is an interfaith, interspiritual institute. It's a learning institute. They offer multiple learning pathways, but I joined the seminary program to become an ordained interfaith minister. And then last year, right, over the recently, I have reconnected and I'm deepening my ministerial work and practice with Intervision's Institute for Spiritual Development, which was founded by Iyan Labansant and some other spiritual teachers and leaders. So it was in those containers and in those spaces that I finally realized, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that this is what's happening. I am giving my belief. I'm letting things outside of me, institutions, people, title, status, symbol, all these things that people told me would make me happy and feel fulfilled and feel successful. It's not working. It never
Yeah.
was going to work. Let's just be clear. But we all kind of have to go through that experience
Yeah.
to realize, like, oh, okay, and to come back to ourselves. So those were really the constructs. The places where I got to kind of go on a mini sabbatical a little bit. I went from working like full time to part time. I decided I was going to go into my sacred training. And it was in those beloved sacred places that I was able to begin to rebuild, reconnect, and create those new narratives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
And well, I was going to ask you,
Go ahead, ask me another question. Go ahead.
you mentioned the 6 steps. Can you share them? Or you want to wait to share that?
Oh, yeah. So they're every
And what are
day.
these 6 steps for? Like, it's
Right.
just, yeah.
Yeah. So when you are feeling disconnected from your source, I think it's attributed to the Buddha that he said, in this life, in this realm, in this world that we have projected, that we've made, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, right?
Mm.
So we all are going to experience obstacles. Those obstacles are actually here for us. They're not happening to us, they're here for us. Um, as we overcome perceived obstacles and barriers in life and learn how to not cling and to detach from over identifying with the false self, with the illusion, we become more whole. That's a part of the work. We evolve. We
Mhm.
awaken into higher levels of spiritual consciousness. But in order for us to do that, there's some spiritual principles and practices that
Yeah.
get us there. The first is that you have to be willing to you have to be aware, right? We've been talking
Mhm.
about that something's not quite right. Then you have to acknowledge it, like, okay. And then you have to be willing to do a new thing, to tell the truth and to do a new thing. And Mama Yana talks about this all the time. You have to be willing to tell the truth and to do a new thing. And so there's spiritual practices, principles, and protocols that you could start to live by that will support you in the integration and the application and the healing and the repair and the rebuilding.
Yeah.
And so there, many things we've talked about here, right? Like
Yeah.
journaling and, first of all, silence and stillness, the willingness to just stop doing what you're doing. Stop repeating the same cycle over and over and over and over again if it's causing you suffering.
Yeah.
Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. You get to choose. Choice is a spiritual principle to do a new thing. And so in that process, I've building on work that I've learned in other places, sort of an integration of A Course in Miracles and some other spiritual traditions. I've come up with this sort of golden self practice. We call it the golden self. And there's a story around the golden self and the mistaken identity in the Buddha,
Yeah.
and that underneath the plaster this is actually a true story. They discovered that there was plaster covering this golden Buddha.
Mm.
Um, and then about 200 years after the Burmese army invaded Thailand and kind of left the plaster Buddha because they didn't think it was valuable,
Yeah.
200 years later, some workers went in to try to go into the royal palace to move it. And they realized it chipped. And so while they were trying to repair it, they realized there was something gleaming underneath. And then they chipped away at the plaster, and it was an 18 karat gold, like
Wow.
12,000-pound Buddha. So for all these years, people thought it was worthless
Yeah.
because it was just looked like an ugly plaster covered Buddha. But underneath it was always the gold. And
Yeah.
so this idea of our golden self has always been here. It's never gone anywhere. We have access to it in every right now moment, in every breath, right? But we have to choose to stop, to be still, to reconnect to it. And so there's 6 steps that
Do you
are,
think, before you go into the steps,
yeah.
do you think to reveal the gold, it's you that has to break the plaster or it's someone else?
Oh, that's a good, juicy question. I think when I think about these conversations we've been having,
Yeah,
um, I think you start to have experiences that create pain and suffering.
yeah,
And so, just like we've been talking about, that projection of the strong one, the resilient one, the fine,
mhm,
the one who's got it all together. When you stop getting the things that you think you want or the things you think you should have, when you start to experience the disappointment of that, whether it's a relationship, a job, an
mm,
opportunity, life and your relationships start to chip away at the plaster,
yeah,
right? So you start to get a sense of like, oh, but the question becomes like, well, how long do you cling to that? How long do you
mm,
cling to that sort of false plaster identity?
yeah,
Because the gold is always there. So to answer your question more succinctly, I think life starts to show us if you're really honest with yourself, like this ain't working. But we stubborn. The ego is
yeah,
strong. We will keep going on a path because we believe, well, they told me if I did this and they told
yeah,
me if I did that, that eventually, right? I think a lot of us here, even in the United States, right, around capitalism, well, if they could do it and be millionaires, I'll just keep working myself to death. I can do it too, right? We start to believe, and you're tired, burned out, relationships falling apart, your health is falling apart, right? Everything's falling apart. You're more in debt than you've ever been. But we just like, but I'm just gonna keep, you know what I'm saying? So I think life starts to break away at the plaster, and then we start to recognize. But I also think we
yeah,
can realize without that happening, right? It can take time, and of course, in miracles, time is an illusion, right?
yeah,
Linear time. From a quantum physics level, it's already done, right?
yeah,
But it can take as long as we want it to take to come into that realization and awakening, or it can happen in an instant, as the
mm,
course would say, in a holy instant. It can become a
yeah,
miracle. It can happen just like that. And I've seen it in others. Took me 40 something years. It took me 40 years. But if we're honest, Lisa Marie, and I'm curious for you, right? If we're honest, I got inklings before that, but my ego was so strong and I was so attached to what they said I was supposed to have or get that I just didn't pay attention. And so, to your question, the 6 steps support you in moving,
yeah,
releasing your attachment to the plaster and moving towards the golden self.
mm,
And the
mhm,
6 steps are: one, forgive.
mm,
You have to release your judgments against yourself, others, in the world. Release your attachments to all of the BS, essentially, the
yeah,
bullshit. You have to forgive it. Then you have to get quiet, be still. Second step is align. Align with your holy self, your sacred self, your divine self. Um, Whatever that looks like for you, your inner sage, your inner goddess, your inner wisdom, spend time with it. And then once you're in that place of you're really getting into the power, reconnecting to your source, becoming vertical, only when you forgive and align can you do the third thing, which is ask.
mm,
Ask the question, help me. It could look like a prayer. It could look like journaling. What is it that I really, really want? What am I truly feeling about this rather than BSing myself?
yeah,
Am I upset? Am I sad? What is it that I'm longing for, yearning for, hoping for? Not what the world tells me I should be, right? Yawning, yearning for, longing for. What am I protecting? Because when we're in our false self, we're contracted, we're protecting,
yeah,
we're defending, we're trying to, right, block off the threats, the perceived threat, right? So we have to actually sit in the space of asking. And then after we ask, we can move to the fourth step, which is allow. Allow the answer to come to you.
mm,
Allow the answer to come to you. It may not come in that moment. Sometimes it will come in the moment of journaling, meditation,
yeah,
but it may come when you're talking to a friend or you're playing with your child. 5-year old, wisdom comes from the mouth of babes. It may
yeah,
come from an actual billboard. You're riding on the subway, a subway ad. It may come through a beautiful song you're listening to. You may be doing beautiful artwork or, like for you, collaging, and
yeah,
suddenly you get an inspired idea. But you've asked first. You made yourself receptive
mm,
to the request. And then you allow, and you have to trust. You have to practice the spiritual principle of trust, right? And then the fifth step is you receive. Course in Miracles has a lesson that said, God speaks to me all throughout the day. The question is, are you listening? Are you receptive enough to actually hear it? Could be through a tarot card. The universe gives you messages however you are allowing it to come to you. You love the Knicks, you love basketball. You might be in a bad. It's like, if I could get to Lisa Marie through her joy when she's celebrating with her people, then I'll send the message there. It might be through something she sees or something she hears, right? So you receive it. That's the fifth step. And then the sixth is become, right? My teachers are inner visions. There's a prayer that says, I ask, I allow, I become, I receive. But in this practice, I've integrated with the Course in Miracles. And I was like, I forgive, I align, I ask, I allow, I receive. Then I become, I step into, I embody the energy of my true self, of the golden self, the golden Buddha, if you will. So that's the golden self practice that for me, I have to practice that every day. I have to practice, right, what my teacher tells spiritual hygiene. I have to practice my daily spiritual hygiene so that I can receive the messages that come from my authentic self,
And what
not
do you
the
mean by
ego.
spiritual hygiene?
Yeah. Spiritual hygiene is just like you brush your teeth every day, take care of your physical hygiene, yeah? You brush your teeth. Some of us exercise every day or go for walks to make sure we're taking care of our health. Every day we have to nourish ourselves, we eat, right? Because we want to make sure that this body is alive and breathing. We spend a lot of time on our physical hygiene.
Yeah.
And we do not spend as much time on our energetic or spiritual hygiene, right? Our energy, our thoughts, our feelings, how we're connected to our soul, our creativity, our imagination.
Yeah.
Right? How much time do you actually give? That's the question to whoever's listening.
Yeah.
Is it 5 minutes? 5 minutes good, right? Because it's always there. Your true self, your inner wisdom, your divine self, your inner goddess, your inner sage. She's always speaking to you. They're always speaking to us. But do we practice our hygiene so that we can hear it, receive it, embody it before we go off to the races on our task list and to-do list, right? Before you go into a difficult conversation, do you just pause for a minute and just sit with yourself and ask, take a deep breath, do some breath work, please, right? Center, right? Before you go to work or think you got a new idea, do you sit, do you pray, do you ask for, right? It's all about just reconnecting with the truth of who you are and releasing the bullshit, right? Like releasing the crap, reconnecting and living your life unapologetically, not allowing people in the world to constantly pull you into what's outside of you, but you standing strong in your truth of what's inside of you. Yeah. Every day, just like I brush my teeth, right? Every day after I brush my teeth, I do my Ori head blessing. It's a prayer, right? I start here in my spiritual space at my altar with my green tea in the sun, giving gratitude for my life, spending time with, I call them sessions with self and source.
Yeah.
They're not separate, by the way, they're one. Unifying, saying, I am one, I co-create with source. I am powerful. Power doesn't exist outside of me. I have to allow myself to be a channel to the creative energy or whatever it is I'm about to do. Doesn't matter if you're a banker, a coach, executive director of a nonprofit. It doesn't matter who you are. Are you connected to your true source? Are you listening before you go out into the world and open your phone and looking at the New York Times and everybody else and what they're telling you? They're not multiple truths, right? There's really one. And that's that we are love, created by love, to love, and that we are not separate from our source. We are connected to that source in ourselves at all times if we allow it to be so, if we believe it to be so, if we release the false beliefs of the world and we embrace our truth.
Yeah.
Oh, I love your questions. You help me go deeper. You help me go deeper.
Yes. I need to learn from you. Also, gave my voice a rest, you know.
So tell me about, I want to hear about what unlearning and relearning or rebuilding has looked like for you. I want to hear more about that.
Um, well, I could think about like a recent one, working with you. So it's evolved in various ways, like first meeting you through work and just having some, sessions. And then after, I had I don't know what my moment was, but I feel like I always have these kind of like, I gotta do something. And I'm trying to get clarity, but it's not really coming through.
Mm,
So I wanted to speak to someone. And so I reached out to you and just was like, hey, and you were receptive. I couldn't even believe it 'cause I was like, oh, I don't know, I haven't spoken to her in a while. Like, I don't know if she's gonna respond, but you did. And like in 20 minutes, I feel like you fixed my life. I figured out like you gave like such good feedback and was like, well, you have the power to ask, you have the whatever. And like this the things that you told me. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's right. And it gave me some clarity. It gave me it made me see my situation like from a different lens. When you're in something, you don't always know what's going on. And I really was like, you know what? I need to take control and speak up and
mm,
say what I need to say to get clarity because I'm being like strung along. I don't, it's making me feel unwell in myself
mm,
because I'm not knowing what's going on. Like every second, I'm just like on my toes. I'm walking on eggshells. And so
mm,
I finally just spoke up and I said what I need to do. And I feel like that opened
mm,
like I think a lot, like just speaking up. It just like started, I think other things started to fall in place. And then I did kind of like just told myself, yes, I want to work with Jackie. I want to invest in myself. I want to yeah, just like work more with you. And I
mm,
think that was really helpful for myself too, to kind of I know we did some exercise where I spoke to different people in my life and got like their responses. And it was like also something that was illuminating because I always have felt like I always want to be consistent. Like that's one of my
mm,
goals. It's like I want to be consistent because if I'm consistently producing my art and my work, like I'm putting in the reps, I'm getting better, but it's also like pushing me forward. And so for
mm.
a while, I've been thinking, oh, I'm not consistent. I'm lazy. I'm not being disciplined. But then
Ooh, their
seeing,
ego was loud. The saboteurs was taking over.
I know. And then when I saw all the feedback from the people in my life, ranging from people who I've only known for a year through people all the way like my whole life, my siblings, people said the same things about me, characteristics. And these are people who didn't even know that they were doing this exercise. And to me, it was like, wow, I am consistent in my life. Like I am in many different ways. And I think that just was, yeah, this gave me a little boost. And I just been now trying to do other things. Like I've been going into the community more, vending tables. I've been making, I rarely go, like this is me doing this YouTube thing is wild. I'm never on camera. I am rarely like, I'm usually like, I do voiceovers a lot.
Right.
So you might hear my voice, but it's not often that you might see me talking. You might see a picture of me. So this things like that have just been yeah, this bold. And even just sending out emails to my community asking for help. That was like a big thing. So I think for me, if it's like unlearning moments, but it's just like a moment of and maybe that's the like the stepping through and just going up.
No, no, I'm just getting so excited because as you read, I have forgotten about this story you're telling for real, for real.
Mhm.
I had forgotten about it, honestly. What you were sharing, just to go back a little bit, you were like, when you came to me, just to
Mhm.
reflect back to you, I could feel the heaviness,
Yeah.
how you were feeling. And part of it is that there were certain truths you knew, you felt
Yeah.
the truth of who you are. And it wasn't being seen, heard, or affirmed within the context of that situation you're talking about
Yeah.
at work. So, all I invited you to do through some exercises, some things, was to tell the truth, to go and tell the truth for what you were feeling first,
Hmm.
and then go to tell the truth to others, to ask for what you needed. And
Yeah.
so it's like the truth started to come through.
Hmm.
And once that, I was like, okay, Lisa Marie has forgotten who she really is, which is a badass bitch. Excuse my language, right? You're bad, right? A creative soul, this powerful goddess, this being. So I invited you to do that exercise that you're talking about, the reflected best self practice,
Yeah.
which is going around and asking people, right, when I'm at my best, how do you
Mhm.
experience me? How do you
Yeah.
see me? And in flooding in all of these responses of people who held up to mirror to say, this is who you are, Lisa Marie.
Yeah.
This is how I experience you. And I always do that with people because it's like, oh, I'm so burdened down in this world, in this life at work with other people telling me who I am and who I'm not.
Yeah.
Images coming through my social media feeds, always trying to make us feel fearful or like we're not good enough or worthy enough. People ignoring us, dismissing us, not listening to us. So when you ask people, how do
Hmm.
you experience me when I'm at my best? And in comes all this data about you're like, oh my goodness. And like you
Yeah.
said, it was consistent what people were saying about you.
Yeah.
Like all the saboteur voices in my head that I'm telling myself, this is not the truth
Yeah.
of who I am. And I felt like once you could experience that love from them, feel that love, you were able to relax and breathe and reclaim
Yeah.
your creativity, your boldness, your intelligence, all of those things. And ever since then, I mean, I would say the last 6 months,
Yeah.
I mean, because you're already doing things kind of hiding behind the scenes, like you
Yeah.
said, right? Like not doing things. You already have this beautiful journal, intellectual will that you've created. You've all have all these beautiful opportunities. Ever since you've just been out, like I'm out. I got to let you know. I've just been thinking about Diana Ross lately. I feel like it's been like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here, whether you like it or not, unapologetically, right? And
Hmm.
I feel like that's who I've seen you be. And it brings me such joy to see you joyful, to see
Mm.
you reclaiming. And here's the thing, even though there's some elements of that situation that you were upset about that are
Yeah.
still present, you have healed your perception and your relationship to that thing
Yeah.
because you already know. I already prayed the prayer. The prayer's been answered. It's done. And
Yeah.
now I've asked, I'm going to allow and receive the transformation. It's
And
already
become.
underway and become. It's already underway. So
Yeah.
sometimes we're like, oh, I prayed the prayer, I asked the thing, and it doesn't come. It's like, well, it doesn't come on your timing. There might be
Hmm.
still some unraveling, some lessons you need to still learn there. There might still be some gifts there, but it really is done. It really is healed because
Yeah.
you're just not operating at the same vibration or relationship to that situation. So it's like, yeah, Lisa Marie's body is like Lisa Marie is here, but
Hmm.
Lisa Marie energetically, spiritually, vibrationally, soul from a soul level, you are not there in that place with those people in the same way. And
Hmm.
that's the transformation I've seen in you. So that I just want to reflect that back to you, sis, because it's been wonderful. And even your willingness for us to be in dialogue in public, right? It's
Yeah.
like a public ministry. It's like we want to talk to each other. Others might learn or benefit from
Mhm.
this. There's some things we want to offer the world. Why not now?
Yeah.
Why not now? Yeah.
And I guess it also helps us think about like what does it look like to be a leader and be think about communities that we want to build and like how we're in community together and just think about those moments of like what made us want to show up differently in these spaces, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, could you tell one of the word you have a word? I've heard of it. Both of us, by the way, people who listening, we both love fantasy, science fiction. Like
Mhm.
we're those people. And in that world, right? This idea of world building, you often talk
Yeah.
about world building. Could you just say a little bit more about what that concept means for you and how it resonates with your heart?
Mm. When I think about world building, I like literally taking a blank canvas and thinking about how would you want your community, your society to function. And that goes down from what are the colors that are present in in this space? What do the buildings look like? What do the people look like? What's the language that's being, what music is being played? Do you have three
Mm,
moons? Do you have one, like all these different things?
yes.
And it's like you literally have an opportunity to just dream and believe like how do you want to interact with the people around you and the
Yes.
place around you. What are the behaviors and the characteristics? And then from there, you create it. And I think world building can be literally like in real life. Like we live in a world that's been constructed and built. Like,
Right. It's a
um,
social
yeah,
construction. It's a
how we
projection
built
of
it.
our minds, and we
Yeah,
can deconstruct it, right?
yeah, and we can deconstruct it, and you could build worlds in a creative space. You could
That's
be
right.
writing a book like Dune. You could be a Marvel movie. It can
Yeah.
be what Sinners. It could be whatever shows people are watching now. Love Island, like
Hmm.
whatever people are watching. These are all worlds that we're building, and so for me, I like to think about like what kind of world do I want to be in? What kind of world do I want to see, and how do I take steps towards that? So I do that in many different ways, even thinking about like with Learn Grow Pass, I'm right now going to be onboarding my first intern. I'm building, I like building internship programs, and she's a high school
Yes.
student. And for
Yes.
me, my business is a world. And it's like, how do
Hmm.
I want people
Hmm.
to be onboarded? How young do I want to work with people? I want someone
Yes.
now, the way the world is changing, you gotta start getting experience probably in high school. So how do I take the people in my life? This is a friend's daughter. I guess she's like my goddaughter,
Yeah.
unofficially. And so how do I want her to experience it? How would I want her to get the tools that she needs? And so that's a world that I build. Like it's mentorship, it's community, it's helping others, it's being a steward. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, how I move through, I have my own little world. Like this is my little my world right here. So for me, it doesn't matter where I am. I'm gonna be who I am and be kind and supportive.
Oh, it just something happened. You're bringing this up because we were talking about this a few years ago, days ago. But yesterday, I'm also I love astrology. I
Mm,
love the archetypes and the symbolism of astrology and the movements of the planets and the ancient study and practice of looking at universal design, right? The universe and the
yeah.
movements to help guide our lives, right? And the symbols and archetypes related to that. So I'm an Aquarius, sun and moon. So I'm a double
Mm.
Aquarius, Leo rising. um, and so this is a powerful time for all of us, but particularly for me because Pluto entered the constellation of Aquarius recently.
Mm.
2024, which came back out and then came back in strong last year in 2025. And it's going to spend about 20 years transiting that constellation. And so Aquarius is really about universal love, humanitarianism, technology, power to the people, the collective
Mm.
consciousness, and how it's transforming. So, and Pluto is the planet of transformation,
Yeah.
right? Pluto is intense. Pluto is serious. In order for something new to be born, right?
Yeah.
There has the rot, what's rotten, what's no longer serving us has to die. It's like the
Yeah.
story of the butterfly, the chrysalis, right? Like
Yeah.
literally the soup of letting go of old identities completely, allowing the disintegration, which can sometimes, from our human mind, we
Yeah.
can perceive it as loss or pain or suffering, but it has to go. It has to disintegrate so that something new can be born. And Pluto right now, the way it's working with us as a collective, I was listening to The Pattern, which is an app, an astrology
Mhm.
app. The pattern is okay. I like it. It's okay. But Channy's
Yeah. Oh, hers is good.
powerful. It is a healing balm, right? Speaking of unexpected balms, right? And Channy dropped her app a few years ago. I was like, yes, sis, what you did that. You did that, right? So Pluto and Aquarius, the way we're experiencing as a collective right now is that the old ways of proving our worth through status, money, trying to fit in, it's crumbling.
Yeah.
Everything we're seeing right now with our government, it's all crumbling. And everybody's hair is on fire and everybody's in fear and contraction. But that pain has a purpose, right? Because the question is, Pluto is saying, it is time. You are
Mm.
being called individually, collectively, to step in to your power, your purpose, your presence, so that you can more fully embody your authentic self. Aquarius is all about the authentic self, right?
Mm.
Pluto is all about the authentic self, being who you are, bringing your weirdness, flying your freak flag, right? The
Mhm.
planet Uranus, right, is weird and kind of is on its side, right? That's what it really represents. And so this is the opportunity for us. So the questions
Mm.
become like, where am I directing my energy and my power? How am I perceiving power? Am I in fear? Am I in contraction? or am I leading with consciousness, with intentionality, with love, right? So that is what those questions are. Am I doing positive love work, or I'm living in fearful separation work, right? Am I bringing people together in love and unity, or am I separating everybody through polarization and conflict? And that's all I talk about. And that's all the energy that I'm giving, right? So right now we're living in a moment, right, where we're trying to be infected by fear. And Pluto in Aquarius says, like, no, you're going to continue to suffer until you realize that your power does not lie in those things outside of yourself. You are the thing you are waiting for. You are the thing. Allow yourself to be a channel, right, for the new thing to be born. And so that's really what I've been thinking about. And the quote that the girl gave yesterday when I was listening to this, her meditation on Pluto and Aquarius is, consciousness is currency. We're leaving behind where it's like, oh, your status, your money, no, consciousness is your currency. That's the magic. If we are not able to tap into a new consciousness, to world build from a new place of possibility, if we're not able to put down the negative imagery, the phones, the news, the things that are trying to keep us in fear and contraction, that make us feel powerless, then we're going to continue to spiral, right? Pain is inevitable in this life, in this human life. Suffering is optional. And I get to choose how I use my power, my presence, and my purpose. So as you were talking about the world building, it made me think about that. It made me think of one other thing, and then I'll stop here and let you talk. You know, when I was teaching, I teach at Teachers College in the social work psych program. I was there full time for a bit. I'm now back to adjunct, so I still teach there. And when I was there, I would teach a class called leadership. And, you know, because I was in a conventional institution, it was my duty to channel sort of traditional wisdom around the research and the science of leadership. I will often start the class with a leadership scholar, Peter Northhouse's definition of leadership. And what he did was he went through all the research, the traditional definitions of leadership. And he was like, wow, this is the way people have talked about leadership, you know, the 40s, 1950s, 60s, whatever. And so it's kind of confusing and all over the place. So he came up with one definition. And the definition of leadership that Peter Northhouse gave is, leadership is a process whereby an individual or group of individuals influence another group of individuals to achieve a common goal. I'll say that again. Leadership is a process whereby an individual uses their influence to get another group to achieve a common goal. And that never felt complete to me. Like that never felt like the definition of leadership that is going to help move us through this Pluto and Aquarius period. The definition of leadership that is going to help us to create new worlds, new organizations, new systems, new communities, new families that are going to help us to reimagine the world that we're going to need to help us thrive. And so he starts with influence, but at Earthseed, we talk about sacred leadership. Our tagline is sacred leadership practical. Right? What is our tagline? Sacred leadership, practical transformation. Sacred leadership, practical transformation. So for me, sacred leadership starts not with using your influence to try to get a person or a group to do the thing. To me, sacred leadership starts with consciousness of your power. So before you go off trying to influence anybody, have you forgiven, aligned, asked, right? Allowed, received? Have you practiced your daily spiritual hygiene? Are you aware of how you want to use your power, right? So for me, sacred leadership is simply defined as the conscious use of your power in service of healing, justice, and collective transformation. So yeah, use your influence. And we're in a world where that's all people want to do is influence. I want to be an influencer. I want to use but it's like, but what are you doing though? And why are you doing it? And have you really aligned with an energy that's going to support our collective transformation, healing, our reimagination, the world building? Or are you just feeding the fear and the polarization and the separation? And so for me, I think that's like our 21st century definition of leadership really is about are you aligned with your power in a
Mhm.
way that is going to support all of us to get to the goal? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, it's important for us to think about leadership. I think we're all leaders in different ways. You might be the leader of your home, your friend group, you're at work, you might have an actual leadership title. I don't think you need a title
Yep.
that shows that you're a leader. You could be a leader, lead from the back, lead from the front, lead from the middle, in all different ways. But I definitely, for me, it's about being a steward.
Mm-hmm.
I've That's how I operate as a leader. Um, Now, I guess identifying, as a leader, I never really took on that title, but I think it's about making sure everyone around me reaches their goal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, being a good leader is making sure other people have made their goals or achieved their goals. And I will sit with people for, it can be 3 hours. We're working through something until
Mm-hmm.
they get what Oprah calls their aha moment. Um, I really,
Yeah.
that to me brings me joy when, yeah, people, you see that moment, a light bulb go off, something happens, and it's like, oh, my job here is done. I helped you get where you need to go. And I do think all of us on this planet should be stewards. That's how we should have approached this planet in terms of taking care of all our resources here. It's not extracting. We should have been stewards, helping the
Mm-hmm.
tree produce the most fruit that it can, or helping
Mm-hmm.
it. If we need to be cutting things to help clear the forest, doing it in service of the planet. And we've lost our way a little bit, but I think
Mm-hmm.
we'll figure it out. We'll make it back.
Yeah.
Um,
When I hear you use the word steward, I just want to name and reiterate because we are aligned here. And when I'm coaching and working with people and ministering to people and teaching people and doing all the things, I'm saying leadership isn't about the title
yeah.
or your position in a hierarchical anything,
Mhm.
organization, a community. That's not what it's about. It's about you realizing that you are powerful. Anybody, it's a practice. Leadership
Mhm.
is a practice of showing up. For you, that's
Mhm.
about stewardship. When I hear stewardship, it's about how do I be a channel? How do I
Yeah.
get, again, release the false self, my over identification with ego, the attachment to ego, and allow myself to be a channel for what's going to support all of us in thriving and sharing the space and sharing the world and making sure that future generations, right, have what they need in our family. So there is something that's selfless, but also self-full, right? Like, right, this idea of when I'm operating from my holy self, my sacred self, I'm able to release attachment to title, outcome, what people really think about me, and I'm really able to show up present and like you connected with people. I'll sit with my brother or sister if I need to support them to come to the realization of the thing. We'll collaborate, we'll work
Mhm.
together. I'll make sure that you're good, you make sure that I'm good. Giving and receiving are one in truth, the course
Yeah.
says, right? You don't even know that you have it until you give it.
Yeah.
You have to receive it, then give it so that you can then recognize that, oh yeah, I am a steward, I am a channel, I am powerful,
Yeah.
right? And that there's no journey that happens alone, right? Um, Everything I do is not, it's never just for me, it's for all of us because I'm not separate from my source. I'm not separate from you, my brother and sister, in truth. The
Yeah.
eyes may see separation everywhere, but in truth, at the spiritual, energetic, metaphysical level, there is no separation. We're interdependent. We need each other in this life. And when we act like we don't need each other, to me, that's a sickness.
Yeah.
That's a sickness of the mind, it's an unhealed perception of the world. Te amo too. I love you too. I just anyway. Do you have any final thoughts about this conversation around reimagining and world building and who we want to be and what we're becoming and what it's going to take for us to
Mm.
create the new thing to clear the way?
Yeah, I like the idea of, in that definition you shared, that leadership is a process. I also would say it's a practice too. Um, I feel like you can literally be appointed a leader,
Mm-hmm.
be a leader. I know when I was younger, my family used to call me, they appointed me, they're like, you're the inspector general. So I used to be walking around the house like I
Like you
own
felt
things.
the power of that.
Yeah. So you can like
What
literally,
is the job? What is the role, and what are the roles and responsibilities of the inspector
I
general?
had to make sure things were straight. Like, are people in bed in time? Is the bed made? Has their clothes been picked off the floor and been put into the, yeah, make sure things are in order.
Yeah,
So that was,
yeah.
I've always been, I think they just decided, like, she's going to be around here being bossy. Let's just give her the title. Um, but I think there can be like appointed. You can also just informally
Mm,
be a leader. But I think there's ways, like for me, it was not just like, oh, people telling me you should be a leader, you should be the captain, you should be the president of this club. But it's also like reading a lot of books
mm,
about leadership. I
mm,
started off reading a lot of John Maxwell. I read a lot of biographies,
mm,
autobiographies, memoirs from people who are in leadership position or people who are in places of influence. I like to read a Harvard Business Review. So it's like reading the technical sides and reading about people's lives, but also it's like looking at what moments made you feel good in spaces and that. So I think about like
mm.
my coaches, the teachers I've had, the supervisors I've had, the ones like I've had amazing supervisors. And I'm like, wow, I really like how they took me under their wing and how they gave feedback. I want to make sure I give feedback this way because it made me feel
Mhm,
good. It made me be better. So I think
mhm,
it's like a collection of things where you take pieces and inspiration from different places to make your own unique style. Um,
mhm,
and there's of course articles I've read and such that also help with that. But I think it's definitely a practice. It's always working on it. I do also want to mention that you can be a leader, you could be a steward, whatever word you want to use, and still have some doubt and sadness.
mhm,
Like it doesn't mean you know everything, but
mhm,
you should still come from a place of like for me, transparency and calm with your team or
mhm,
with whoever you're leading. If you don't, even if you don't know, or if you
mhm.
do have doubt, I think it's okay. And I don't think it's like a sign of weakness to show that. I think it's actually a sign of strength to say, I don't know, but we're going to figure this out together. And I'm going
Together.
to go look it up and try to find something for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I say it's always a practice. If you want to be a formal leader, you could take those steps to get up there, but you could also still be just as influential and supportive from wherever you are. The
And
head of the table is
conscious.
wherever you are. That's my
Oh, I love it. The head of
feel.
the table is wherever you are, right? God is
Yeah.
right where I am, right where I
Yeah.
am, God is, right?
Mhm.
The divine is. And you just said something that was really interesting because you were talking about some of the sources where you read. It's funny, I wasn't like a biography reader of leaders. I mean,
Mhm.
clearly there were leaders that I admired from a distance. And I've shared with you how my educational activists in my life, the teachers in my
Mhm.
life really showed up for all of us, not just me, but definitely for me and all of us, and supported me in becoming a leader. They led, helped me, went to my home, convinced my parents to help me, to let
Mhm.
me study abroad. They did all kinds of things on my behalf. But honestly, where I feel like I've been most inspired is thinking about those who are often thinking about being the collective, right?
Mhm.
Black feminists, working
Mhm.
in groups to really sort of support right communities. Science fiction, art,
Oh
literature,
yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
I think about
Mhm.
Octavia Butler and
Yeah.
Earthsea and the community she started to start, right? In that novel, Parable of the Sower, it was really all about like, I don't need to be the hero or the heroine of this. We all have power. We all
Yeah.
have something to offer this. I might be a guide. I might be one of the first people to think about it or the first to step out, but it's all about us coming together. So I often think about collective intelligence and that
Mhm.
leadership is a shared energy, a resource. So yeah, process, a relational process. It's a practice, but to me, it's really a practice of first consciousness, right? Consciousness about right, how do I want to show up and with whom? Not believing you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
There's in our popular culture, right? We don't believe somebody's a leader unless they're loud and out there and by
Mhm.
themselves and trying to give you the lie or feed you the lie or the
Yeah.
false impression that they're a hero or heroine or they got to where they are based
Yeah.
on their own efforts. That's BS. It's not really how life works. Most of us are here, all of us. Let me stop. All of us are here because somebody fed us, somebody took care of us,
Mhm.
somebody guided us when we were weak and vulnerable and unable to do it for ourselves. Somebody taught us something.
Yeah.
held us, stood up for us. And so when we forget that again, that's when we're lapsing into the ego, into the what I say, an unhealed perception
Yeah.
of yourself in the world, because that's just not how it works.
And someone also listened. I think a good leader is
Yes.
listening and listening to all the input and the feedback to come up with a decision together. So yeah, and I think that's also important.
All right, this has been deep. This is deep. So we have, like, in this series, this particular series, we have one more session.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. We get to talk about unexpected balm and
yes,
who we're becoming and invitations and what we like to do, how we like to gather and create, co-create with others. So I'm really excited about that. And you get to go scream tomorrow at the Knicks. I'm telling you, New Yorkers with the Knicks, I can't. Like, people are scaling buildings and you. I'm like, I wish we could channel and harness all of this energy to heal. But I love seeing y'all in y'all. I'm not a sports person, but it's like, it tickles me to see y'all.
It is healing though.
It is
there's
healing.
people walking down the street, strangers giving high fives, saying hello, giving their seats, sitting together at, like, I was waiting for my friends. I just sat, like, usually if there's not an open seat, sometimes I might ask to sit with someone who's like, whatever, but rarely. But we're sitting, people sitting together.
It's an inclusive love.
Exactly.
You're like, this is an inclusive love. Everybody's welcome. We're in joy. Yeah. We're in fun together. And that's the space you want to be world building from, like that joyful space. So yeah, I mean, I love sports.
I get what you're saying.
I honor sports. I honor the group, but it is fascinating for me to watch the crowds.
It is.
And to watch the energy. And I'm like, ooh, can we harness that? Can we harness that for all this work we have to do under Pluto and Aquarius? So I'm interested, particularly with you and your sports fans, Lisa Marie, and all of the innovative, inspirational ways that you're going to harness all of that collective creative energy to world.
I did. Check out, go to my Instagram.
Okay.
You're going to see, I applied geography to the Knicks. I found some kind of connection. So it gave me, I like when you said.
What's the title of it? It's called?
The Geography of Urban Security, How the Knicks Changed the Block. See
this phrase, Dr. Lisa Marie. She's done a little analytical urban geography read of the Knicks. Go see that. Check that out. That's what's up. I love that.
Yeah. So the joy is making me be out there and be world building and thinking. So
yeah. Ooh, I'm excited. Anyway, sis, I love you.
Love you too.
Te amo. I'm thinking of your mug. And we'll be back for the next session. We hope people join us to hear about unexpected balm and what we got cooking.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Ciao.
right. Peace.